Paladino Live returns for episode number 5. We have returned once again, and boy do we have a big show today, as we're going to talk about NFL free agency, particularly the Minnesota Vikings, who made a nice splash signing 3 free agents. We are also going to talk about, once again, the Minnesota Wild and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And it is going to be one heck of a show today, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, we are on thesportstuff.com. We are also on iTunes. So I want to thank all of you for downloading and listening to this show. Now on iTunes, if you haven't gone on there yet, simply go on there and search for Paladino Live, 2 separate words on iTunes, in the iTunes store they call it, and subscribe. It is completely free, and that way it'll update the new show every time I have a new show posted on iTunes. It will automatically download it for you, and you will be listening to my lovely voice. Now, on thesportstuff.com, first of all, I would like to welcome Lance Williams of the JTS show. Congratulations, Dylan, on landing him, as he will be a great addition to this website, and it's going to make us all better. And it's great to have you, Lance, if you can hear me. Now, here on thesportstuff.com, we have a call-in line. It is 916-912-4263. That is 916-912-4263. Call it in. It is a voicemail. Simply say which show you're addressing, say Paladino Live or Running with the Bulls or whoever, and make your comment. Ask us a question, make a comment, talk a little smack, whatever you like. You know, we'd love to hear from you. And also, don't forget to get a screen name on the TSS boards. We really would love to have you on here. As I've been noticing, there have been some members getting on here, especially with the JTS joining, and also I've referred a few people, and let's get this thing rolling. Let's get some more members on here. Go to thesportspodcasters.com/boards. That's right, thesportspodcasters.com/boards. Sign up, get a screen name. We'd like to meet you and get to know you, as we're a great group of guys. We love to talk sports. Some people talk smack. I personally don't, because I'd rather just talk, than talk smack, I guess. That's just my style, being a slightly older member of the crew here. So either way, it'd be great to have you, and sign up. Now, Paladino Live also has a YouTube. That's right, youtube.com/Paladin Joe. That's right, youtube.com/Paladin Joe. Please subscribe. It's also free. Enjoy my videos. I put up a new video this week. Finally, it is Timberwolves related, and I've received great reviews for that so far. All 5-star ratings, so please check it out and enjoy. Also, I go on Instant Messenger, Yahoo Instant Messenger, or AIM, AOL Instant Messenger. Both are Paladino Live, one word, Paladino Live. Please add me and send me some comments. Let me know what you think, sports takes, just a shout-out, whatever it is. I'd love to hear from you. I also have an email. It is I apologize. It is paladinolive@yahoo.com, paladinolive@yahoo.com. Again, sports takes, comments, encouragement, anything you don't like, whatever it is. So it'd be great to hear from you. Now on to the actual show. The Minnesota Vikings. Remember them, the team that actually got me going on YouTube, the team that exposed me a lot on YouTube and got my attention. And eventually, that's how I met Farzine, through the Chiefs and Vikings game. Farzine, the host of the Chiefs End Zone show, and now he has changed the show, or added a new show called KC Boom, that is a great show where he covers all Kansas City sports. So similar to Paladino Live, he's never one-dimensional on that show, because he talks all Kansas City sports, just like I talk all Minnesota sports here on Paladino Live. Not so much the Twins, because I just want to, out of respect, I like to defer most of my Twins talk over to TC Talk, where Andrew Gottsman does a great job here on thesportstuff.com. Check him out. He is very, very good, very in-depth coverage on the Minnesota Twins. So, definitely give him a check. Subscribe to him. And here we go. The biggest story of the free agency period for the Minnesota Vikings is one of the largest signings of the whole of the whole free agency window being open, wide receiver Bernard Berrian from the Chicago Bears is a Minnesota Viking now. And he's a guy that Viking fans and Viking, radio hosts, KFAN and all such here in the Twin Cities are talking about Bernard Berrian since way back in October, November. The Vikings need to get a guy like this when he's a free agent next year. Oh, man, he's just going to be a great addition. And, well, here he is. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him, to steal a line from KFAN. I am thrilled about the move. It absolutely opens things up for this offense, as things were just jam-packed last year for Adrian Peterson and Chester Taylor because there was no passing game other than when Sidney Rice was able to go vertical. And Sidney Rice, as I said numerous times on my YouTube videos, is going to be a excellent player. I really love him. He is a raw talent. But now you have Bernard Berrian to go with Sidney Rice. And you also have Tavares Jackson with finally getting that first year, all those butterflies out of the way, or so we hope, as Tavares Jackson, the quarterback of the Vikings, who has been under scrutiny heavily by some and overrated by others, as I agree with Farzine, how a lot of Viking fans tend to just think Tavares Jackson is, wow, he's really is a great quarterback. No, he is neither a great quarterback nor a pathetic quarterback. I mean, he's been awful, but not quite on the pathetic level. Other than that Detroit Lions game, the second game of the year, as that was my most inflammatory video of all time. The Vikings and Lions video on YouTube, where I just explode pretty much in both teams because they each turned the ball over 6 times. And I hope that these added threats to added threat so far to the offense and Bernard Berrian can help eliminate some of that mess. It should give Tavares Jackson some more confidence. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It has to. The only thing is, there's no way Bernard Berrian is going to be wearing number 80 because Chris Carter is one of 3 Vikings who absolutely will never give up, his number will never be worn again. Chris Carter's number 80, Fran Tarkenton's number 10, the unflappable Francis Fran Tarkenton, and, of course, number 88, Alan Page, numbers I've never seen on the Vikings in my lifetime because neither of them were here anymore once I started watching them. I'm 28, not 38, so not quite. I don't quite go back as far. Now, the other signing, safety, Matteo Williams, I hope I said his name right, he replaces Dwight Smith, a talented but just kind of a goofy player. Talented but goofy off the court, or field, off the court. I'm so used to basketball. He had his run-ins. He had a very perverted, I guess you could say, incident in the stairwell at Block E in downtown Minneapolis, where he was allegedly having sex with somebody in the stairwell, as that was a really classy move by him. You can't really get a room, maybe? How about that? There is a hotel in Block E, I will remind you. So, if you want to go that far. But yeah, Matteo Williams, by all accounts, a great guy, a classy guy, and a talented player. They said he was the best safety available on the free agency market. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's the second coming of, Ed Reed or something, or anybody, any of the great safeties of all time. But he has a chance to be pretty solid. Now, you do add that guy, but you also add Thomas Tupe, the former Minnesota Gophers fullback. Now he's a Viking fullback. He replaces a wonderfully talented yet oft injured and aging Tony Richardson at the fullback position. Very inexpensive move by the Vikings, as he's only guaranteed. Thomas Tupe is only guaranteed $1.2 million out of $3 million. Only $3 million, and I believe it was a 6-year deal. So. He's not a very expensive individual. Obviously, fullbacks don't get the ball much, but I do find it ironic that the guys that work their butts off get paid very low amounts, because fullbacks have to constantly be under pressure on every play, banging into linemen or linebackers to protect the running back. But I do see it as a nice addition, maybe just break even or something, because Tony Richardson was a great player. Though, of course, as I said, oft injured, unfortunately. It seemed like he was always out. Hopefully, Thomas Tupe won't be that. He has had injury problems in his past, unfortunately, but of late his health has caught up to par. So it's all up to par now with his health. As when you look at his career numbers on Yahoo Sports, now he played 7 games in 2004, completely missed 2005 because of injury. 2006 and 2007, though, all 16 games played, so that is a good sign that his health is on the up and up. So let's hope for the best of Thomas Dupé. He's a fairly young individual. It looks like he is 1 day younger than Paul Tuniverse-Caniff, my close friend Paul Tuniverse-Caniff. March 28th, 1980. That's pretty cool. So, both of them will celebrate a birthday in the next couple weeks here. So, in advance, happy birthday, Thomas Dupé, I guess, eventually. But, man, this is a completely different offseason compared to last year. Our signature signing was Bobby Wade. Bobby Wade. This year, it's Bernard Berrian. Now, Bernard Berrian is not Randy Moss, and he's not Jerry Rice. He's not Chris Carter, but he has a lot of talent, and he was playing in an offense that was pretty inconsistent. I mean, you just didn't know what to expect half the time from them. Now, I'm not saying that Tavares Jackson or Kelly Holcomb or Brooks Bollinger were exactly Montana, Steve Young, and whoever else, Peyton Manning out there. I mean, not really. No, they were pretty awful, to be honest. Tavares Jackson, clearly the most talented, yet, of course, still an ultra inconsistent individual. Bollinger, I'm not sure if he's really in the Vikings' plans. Kelly Holcomb was released. I'm seeing Bollinger is still on the roster. So, he did sign a long contract, I remember, not long ago. But he is a third-string quarterback. The Vikings we're talking to the Houston Texans about Sage Rosenfels, but they want a second-round pick for the guy. He was 4-1 in the short stint of playing, but that's it, though. Do you really need a second-round pick for Sage Rosenfels? I mean, he turns 30 tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. He turns 30 on March 6th. He's already going to be 30 years old. Now, his numbers looked pretty good last year. 15 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 1,684 yards. So not bad. Quarterback rating, overrated, which is overrated, of course, 84.8. Quarterback rating is always an overrated statistic for the most part. Now, when you look at his numbers in his career, not bad. If you click on the full button, when you click on Sage Rosenfels, on the Houston Texans roster. Now, he's never played over 10 games. So, he's not a guy you're going to count on to really be a full-time starter. But, ever since 2005, his numbers have been steady. His quarterback rating has been over 80. So, and he's thrown more touchdowns than interceptions, which that's the important stat I usually look for in a quarterback. I mean, that's a huge start. You got to have more touchdowns than interceptions, which Tavares Jackson did not have last year. He had 9 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. 12 interceptions is better than 25, but still, it just shows the sign of a guy who's either inconsistent, inexperienced, or just plain sucks, inaccurate. One of the 3 ins, you could say. Tavares Jackson, going into his second season as a full-time starter. Last year, might as well say the quarterback rating, 70.8 last year, 1,911 yards. And yes, 9 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He did play in 12 games, so because I do remember how he did miss 4 games from injury. So only 9 touchdowns in 12 games. That is pretty weak, and I would expect to see those numbers increase this year. And there is a chance they could increase significantly because Sidney Rice was ultra raw last year. He's 21 years old. How many 21-year-old wide receivers do you see in the NFL? Almost none. There was one named Randy Moss back in 98, but I don't think Sidney Rice is quite on that level just yet. And Randall Cunningham and Brad Johnson were slightly better quarterbacks than Tavares Jackson was ready to be last year. But you have the more experienced Jackson. You have the more experienced Sidney Rice. And you have Bernard Berrian, who is ready and willing. He's getting into his prime at age 27. Ultimately, I would hope Tavares Jackson could throw at least 20 touchdowns next year. I would hope so, if healthy. The receiving core of the Vikings suddenly is starting to look a little more talented here, as you do still have Andre Allison, as he is still here, and he's very young at age, he was only 21 last year as well. So he turns 22 on April 20th. That guy's awfully young. Now, last year's number is nothing spectacular at all, only 8 receptions for 122 yards, but he's got a shot to be something someday. He was a 5th-round pick by the Vikings, after clicking on his name, of course, at the time. But Sidney Rice is the guy I really target to be something special. Now, Andre Ellison looked pretty good on special teams, or at least decent. Sidney Rice's numbers last year, lower than you would expect in terms of, my God, because whenever he did play well, he looked like he's going to be a Pro Bowl receiver as his career develops. Only 396 yards and 4 touchdowns, but there is an exclamation point after those yards and touchdowns, because he was a guy who made people miss and made some great plays. Now, he's not perfect, but he made the kind of plays that the Troy Williamsons and the Bobby Wades can't make. It's not, it's not just a couldn't make. They can't make those plays. And that's where he separates himself from the rest. Now, Troy Williamson was traded this last week for a 6th-round pick. And you know what? Troy Williamson, I just couldn't take anymore. And I am so happy that he's gone. I can't even put into words how happy I am that he's gone. But ultimately, on Troy Williamson, the fact you can get a 6th-round pick for him, congratulations, Minnesota Vikings, on that move. Congratulations. Good job. It's like, what I loved is how he came into training camp last year with all that bravado, like he's ready. He's ready, baby. He's ready to show why he was a 1st-round pick, 7th frickin' overall pick, which just makes me sick even saying that. 7th overall pick. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm sorry. And the way he went out there last year and dropped all the same passes that he dropped the previous couple of years, and couldn't get to balls that were thrown deep. I mean, that's what drove me more insane than anything. They talked about his amazing speed, how quick he was and all that stuff, and he couldn't even catch up to passes by Brad Johnson. I'm talking about the same Brad Johnson that was 37 years old at the time. And I got into a little argument, kind of a casual argument with my friend Brian Cronhart. At the time, he's like, well, that doesn't, just because Brad Johnson overthrows him doesn't mean Troy Williamson is slow. And it's like, yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Brad Johnson is not, Brad Johnson is not Brett Favre in his prime with a rocket arm, or John Elway. Brad Johnson also is ancient. I mean, the guy is an old guy. He's not out there chucking the rock to a young athletic receiver and overthrowing him unless something's wrong with the receiver. Now, it might not necessarily have been particularly speed that was the problem, but also the fact the guy can't get around anybody in his routes. I mean, he just gets stopped. And if you get stopped, you're not good. Okay? It's going to happen. You're going to get stopped. But all the time, you suck. I mean, sooner or later, you got to just say it. You got to just write him off. You got to put him on this guy sucks list. Troy Williamson at the top of that list for the Vikings last year, along with several other players that I don't need to mention him immediately. But yeah, Troy Williamson going into last year, all ready to go, and he had posted career lows. As when you click on his player site on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster, Troy Williamson, I click on full, or you don't even have to, as he's only played 3 years. Now, yeah, career low of 18 receptions, career low, 240 yards. Oh, but he did pass the previous career low in touchdowns. The career low was 0 in 2006. He got 1 last year. Way to go, Troy. Thanks for the memories, Troy, and we'll see if he even cracks the Jacksonville Jaguars roster. I know their receiving core is not exactly, Rice, Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens, like they used to have in the 49ers. But hey, they have, they at least have Reggie Williams who can play a little. That guy's a pretty talented individual with his 10 touchdowns last year. I just clicked on his player file just to at least look at it. But, I remember him very well in the fantasy league. It was a nice pickup. And, yeah, that's something I will get into next year when the fall comes in. I will talk fantasy football on this show. I may or may not play any more fantasy football, as I announced I was retiring from it after last year's disappointment in the fantasy Super Bowl. But anyhow, I'll get off that topic. The Vikings, to me, go into this season with a chance to be pretty good, in my opinion. And as long as they get a solid backup quarterback, that is the start of things. That is something they still need to get done. They need that, and they also need a kick returner. Now, I believe they were talking to Hicks of the formerly of the San Francisco 49ers. So hopefully we can land a talented kick returner, because Bobby Wade ain't going to cut it, and you can't put Adrian Peterson out there, because if he gets hurt, we're screwed. Now, I know we have Chester Taylor, but Chester Taylor is not Adrian Peterson. Chester Taylor is a top 10 to 15 running back in the NFL. Adrian Peterson is maybe the top period running back in the NFL. So, yeah, you don't put him to risk at all. Mewelde Moore, another running back, gone. As he's talking to Tampa Bay. There was even rumors that he was going to get traded to Tampa last year. Did not happen, but clearly the interest from Tampa is still strong for the services of Mewelde Moore. But no, the other thing I was going to get into before I started wandering was the backup quarterback position. Now, they are talking supposedly to Trent Green, or at least have expressed interest in him, who is ancient, but wouldn't be the worst choice of all time, because I would think he's going to at least be a nice, wise individual to help Tavares Jackson develop. And I don't think Trent Green is completely done. I think he's got a year or two of backup quarterback football left in him. A lot of the aging quarterbacks that had great careers finished their career as solid backups, so it wouldn't be the first time. The other man, the Vikings were in discussions with, or not necessarily him in particular, but his team, the Buffalo Bills, J.P. Lossman. Now, J.P. Lossman supposedly had some run-ins with Buffalo's management here and there, as he's, looked on as a slightly cocky individual. But, it's not like you're bringing him in here to be a starter at this point, because they're too much, he was too much of a mess last year. He was a bust. 2006, though, when you look at his career numbers, he did throw 19 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Good year. Still played all 16 games, quarterback rating of about 85, and 3,051 yards. So the guy is capable of being a nice player. Say if Tavares Jackson is just a bust, he's another Troy Williamson, type of dealie for us. J.P. Lossman is at least a plan B plus, I guess you could say. He's at least something. So, yeah, if he's not too expensive, that'd be a nice addition to this team. Sage Rosenfels, I can't say his name. I just can't. I apologize. Sage Rosenfels. I have no idea why I'm struggling with it. But for some reason, is too expensive, as I was saying. They are not backing on the second-round pick deal. If you can get him for a third-round pick, do it. That he is a perfect backup. And I guess the other guy they was talking to, we're talking to, is Billy Volek. I believe he's still on the Titans. And, yeah, I am not seeing him. I guess he's a straight-up free agent right now. Okay, I am totally apologizing. San Diego Chargers, how could I forget? He helped the Chargers defeat the Indianapolis Colts. I'm on crack. I apologize. Billy Volek is a guy we were in discussions with as well, or are in discussions with of some type. But now I'm seeing an article here as Billy Volek is back with the Chargers. My bad. Billy Volek signed a 3-year deal. So, yeah, throw that one out. My bad. So, yeah, it's looking like J.P. Lossman or Sage Rosenfels or Trent Green. And my personal opinion on who will be the Vikings backup quarterback next year at this point out of those three is going to be Trent Green, because I think Lossman's going to be too expensive, and I think Rosenfels is too expensive. So Trent Green right now out of those three is by far the most likely to come here. He's a guy I like a lot. I really enjoyed what he did with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a shame that they couldn't accomplish more. And with Trent Green, I would like to see him here. It didn't work in Miami last year because, well, he's not a starter anymore. So that was just proven last year. But he's a guy who I think can still play if needed. If needed, that is the big key. He will get yards. That is a huge thing. And he's going to still throw touchdowns here and there. He might throw more interceptions than touchdowns as he did the last 2 years when I look at his numbers. But, quarterback rating in the 70s. But a guy who, in his past career, just threw 4,000 yards every year. It was just amazing when he was with the Chiefs. Good old, Farzine's team there. The Chiefs put up some nice offensive numbers, but overall couldn't get it done in the playoffs or in important games per se. But with that, I'm going to close on the Vikings now, as I have really, really gotten heavy into them, and I've enjoyed talking about them finally. And I hope that they can add a defensive end to this roster very soon, as soon as possible. Justin Smith gone to the 49ers, as we attempted to get him, but he was unable to even make his trip here, as the Niners wooed him way too much for him to even leave San Francisco. And, hey, I don't blame him. San Francisco is a beautiful city, and the tradition there is phenomenal. So good luck to Justin Smith, I guess. Now, one more quarterback that I'm, seeing here that I have interest in, despite the fact he's been on a downtrend the last couple of years, is former Viking backup quarterback Gus Frerotte. That is one guy I think the Vikings should at least look at, even if a little. Except they're saying his career is over, and I don't know why they're saying that. He's not. He's younger than Trent Green, so I would at least give it a look if I were the Vikings. We'll see what happens, though, ultimately, in that. I still think it's going to be Trent Green, personally. So when I return, we are going to talk about the Minnesota Wild. We are back, and I can't think of a better song to use to introduce the Minnesota Wild than Nintendo Ice Hockey, and I hope you like that, guys. So we are back here to talk about the Minnesota Wild, the best team in the National Hockey League. Well, no, but here in the state of hockey anyway, they're the best team here, as even the Gopher hockey team is struggling. But the first thing I'd like to mention, as it's right here in the top of the little Wild news here, is Marian Gaborik finally is the captain. Marian Gaborik has been given the captaincy for the month of March. To me, that makes me smile. I'm so happy. I think it was long overdue, Marian Gaborik becoming the captain of the Wild. Now, the Wild are the weirdest team in the NHL with the way they never have a full-time starting goalie, and they never have a full-time captain. As they go on a monthly basis, a new captain every month. Now, have you ever heard of that before? I sure haven't, but it's a cool idea, I guess. I don't know if this is like junior high hockey, like, oh, let's make everybody captain so everybody's happy. But hey, either way, Marian Gaborik as a captain makes me smile because, give the kid a chance. Not that he's even a kid anymore. He's 26 now. But he's the team's best player. He's an all-star and a potential super-duper star if he keeps playing great and stays healthy, most importantly. I think he's going to serve well as the captain of this team, as he does have leadership skills. When you listen to him talk, well, for one, his English has gotten much better. Now, that's not the most important thing in the history of the world, but it is better, and he makes good points when he talks. When he talks about his team, he sounds like a leader, and I'm glad to see it. So, congratulations, Berrian Gaborik. Now, with that said, it's time to actually start talking about the actual games of the last week. Now, we left off last week about with that disappointing loss to the Calgary Flames, and since then, the NHL trade deadline came to a close. And Tuesday was the epiphany of negativity for the Minnesota Wild, as there was all this talk about Marian Hossa coming to the Wild. There was talk about, like a Bobby Holek coming here, or, this Campbell, who went to the Sharks, guys like that coming here. At least one of them, somebody coming here. And guess who we got? Chris Simon. Now, initially, right away, I'm like, it's a tough guy who's got some talent. He's not a complete just a goon. Oh, wait, yeah, he is just a goon. And he's also 36 years old. Now, Marian Hossa went to the Pittsburgh Penguins for almost nothing, and, he didn't, and the Wild didn't make a move on it. And to me, that would have been a perfect chemistry move for this team. Not only the talent, but a top line of Dimitra, Hossa, and Gaborik would have absolutely catapulted this team to prominence, in my opinion. And no, that was simply not the case, as the Wild just pick up Chris Simon, a guy who, has committed numerous acts of violence and has had two of the longest suspensions in NHL history. One was for nearly cutting a guy's ankle off with his skate with the New York Rangers not long ago, and another was just cross-checking somebody in the face with, his stick after a fight or after some type of incident of some kind. Those were within just the last year, totaling about 50 games of suspension time. So, okay, I like the fact he's a tough, gritty individual. I don't like the fact he's old, and I don't like the fact he's out of control, or at least it's shown that he's just out of control. So, we're going to see what happens with that. It's not the end of the world. It's not like the worst move ever, but the fact that that's all we got is the worst part about it. It drives me insane. Now, the negativity was not just the lack of making a good move, but yeah, it rubbed off on the team, and they lost 4-1 to the Washington Capitals in Washington, D.C., the capital city, and they absolutely kicked our butts from the start to finish in this game. I didn't actually get to particularly watch it because I was at work, but ultimately they kicked our butts. It was 2-0 right away. Wild Radovojevic, Radio Boy, whatever his name is, scores his 4th goal of the year, so terrific. And then after that, the Washington Capitals scored 2 more goals right away after that, and they just stomped on us. I barely even want to talk about this game as it just pissed me off. The only thing I like about it is that the Washington Capitals have brought back the old logo, other than that boring logo they had the last 10 years, where it actually says Capitals really big with the T as a hockey stick. So I like that. It's obviously a more modernized version of the logo. But yeah, that's the only positive of the whole game. Just a terrible game by the Wild. They only gave up 26 shots, and still allowed 4 goals. Pathetic effort. And I'm going to move on to the next game because that game just sucked. And, it's not even worth talking about. But after that, the Wild finally, somebody or something got to them. And they went into Tampa Bay the next night and defeated them 3-2. As Pierre-Marc Bouchard and Nicholas Backstrom stepped up into this game. Todd Fedoruk with his 3rd goal of the year, assisted by Bouchard. Pavel Dimitra assisted by Mikko Koivu on the 2nd goal. And then Ralston scores early in the 3rd period, his 24th of the year. He's one of the main goal scorers on the team, and Bouchard with the other assist, with another assist. Overall, the Wild, much better game. I mean, Tampa Bay is not the best team in the world, but at the same time, they're decent. And they're at least a somewhat decent team. And it is a road game. And that's what counts the most, is that the Wild defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'm happy that they somehow got back on track slightly, as now we're in a dogfight with the Calgary Flames, the Wild, as they were in a dogfight this whole week. We went back to Florida. We stayed in Florida and went to go play the Florida Panthers and defeated them 3-2. And Koivu, Veyu, and Burns get the goals in this game. Koivu stepping it up. Marian Gaborik with an assist, but Koivu the main star of the game with his two-way play. Great player. Nicholas Backstrom, again, one of the main factors. Nicholas Backstrom wins games. I'll give him that. But, yeah, he's inconsistent because the way the Capitals earlier in the week just kicked his butt. That drives me insane. But overall, the Wild showing some strength. Brent Burns with a goal and an assist in the game. That is wonderful. Helps my fantasy team out too, but more importantly, it helps out the Minnesota Wild, as he is the only big-time defenseman on this team, a guy who not only is a good defensive player, but a big-time offensive weapon as well. As Kim Janssen, to me, they kept saying how that's who Kim Janssen is. Nah, Kim Janssen drives me nuts. I don't like him. I can't tell you how many times I've seen the puck come his way via power play or just regular full strength. And when we're in the other team's zone and we're trying to set up something, some type of play where we can wind up scoring, hopefully, and Kim Janssen loses the puck. And this guy's one of the highest paid men on this team. He's he's been the highest paid defenseman anyway. And how many times has he been a disappointment for this team? It still sticks in my mind, the goal that he helped give up against the Anaheim Ducks last year when he slid into the net, Nicholas Backstrom. He just fell right into Nicholas Backstrom, and the Wild gave up a goal in the playoffs. Just things like that with this overrated pile of crap have driven me insane. I just wish we could have done better on getting a big-time defenseman, as that has been my number one complaint with this team for ever and ever and ever. As every time there's a draft, every time we're in a draft situation, we never pick up a defenseman. And the one we did, A.J. Thielen, didn't even make the team. He is gone. He didn't even make the team. First-round pick, gone. So the Wild have failed in the defenseman area forever, other than Brent Burns. And the greatest part about Brent Burns, he wasn't drafted as a defenseman. He was drafted as a winger. So go figure. But the other good thing is the Wild won again, their third in a row, last night against the Los Angeles Kings here in St. Paul. I'm not from St. Paul, but Twin Cities. Nicholas Backstrom shines again, number one star of the game. He made 27 saves out of 28 shots. So Backstrom with 3 wins in a row. Marian Gaborik, baby. 34th goal of the year. Brent Burns assist. Bouchard assist. And then the big thing, though, the big surprise of the game, is the man that won the goal at the end. Martin Skula, with only his 3rd goal of the year in overtime, was assisted by Gabby and Pavel Dimitra. The Slovakian line, Gaborik and Dimitra, helping Skula out. And, Skula is a guy who many Wild fans have hated the last 2 years, especially being he was traded here for the strongest defense in the Minnesota Wild have ever had, Willie Mitchell. Willie Mitchell, the man who was just a big-time factor throughout the playoffs in the 2003 playoff run. 2 years ago, Skula comes here from the Dallas Stars, and ever since just has been a stiff. And for some reason, Jacques Lemaire really likes him because he does certain things, I guess, that we don't see. And I don't know. To me, that's one of the most overrated terms of all time. Like, he does the things that don't show up in the stat sheet. Well, yeah, he turns the puck over, and he gets his butt kicked every time he gets hit, and he never scores when he has a chance. Okay, yeah, I guess those are the things that don't show up in the stat sheet either, so let's not forget that part. But overall, Gaborik, to me, though, is just a great player, and fact that he has 34 goals this year. That's the big key to me in the game, really. Other than that, ultimately though, yeah, Skula getting that goal in overtime. Thanks, you finally did something for us. We appreciate it. Thank you very, very, very much. At least it gave us another win, and yeah, we are in first place over the Calgary Flames right now with 79 points. Calgary Flames 77, Vancouver 74, Colorado 74. So we're starting to gain a little ground on Vancouver and Colorado, at least a little bit. 5 points, nothing great. Edmonton Oilers have been on a run, unfortunately, as they are above 500 now with 67 points. They have gained 6 points since we last talked. Dangerous. The Oilers look like they were dead and gone. They are not. They're still 12 games. They are 12 points behind the Wild, and consider they're only couple behind Colorado and Vancouver at this point, as they're 7 points back. I apologize, I'm having a mind blank here for some reason, just distractions. But yeah, don't count the Edmonton Oilers out quite yet because they've always been slightly dangerous. But yeah, in closing on the Wild, bad trade, or just lame effort in the trade deadline. They didn't really make enough of a move, and the most painful thing of all, though, was Peter Forsberg not only doesn't sign with the Wild, not only doesn't retire or stay out of the league for the year, he signs with the Colorado Avalanche. He goes back to the team where he was for quite a long time, and yeah, he goes to one of our arch rivals. So I hope they fail. I hope they fall on their butts over there in Colorado, as I just do not like the Avalanche at all. I do not like anybody in this division at all. I wish them the worst. I hope they fail and miss the playoffs. And after that, it is time to move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I do remember not talking about the Dallas Maverick game last week, so I'm going to have to throw that in this week. And we're going to have an even longer show this week, obviously, as we're talking about 3 teams. It's here on Paladino Live, we continue to be never one-dimensional. Now, Kirk Snyder did not play. That's at the time, he was one of the newest acquisitions on this, or was the newest acquisition on this team. Theo Ratliff plays his final game as a Timberwolf, scoring 3 points, getting 4 rebounds, playing 13 minutes off the bench. Al Jefferson, 22 points, 8 rebounds in the game. Solid, 2 blocks, so very solid effort for Al. But, yeah, the Wolves lose 99-83 to the Dallas Mavericks. And Jason Kidd with 17 assists. That is the stat of the game. So, yeah, 12 points, 17 assists, 4 steals also for Jason Kidd. Now, he had 3 turnovers, but, yeah, 17 assists. That's assist-to-turnover ratio is suddenly pretty good there despite the 3 turnovers. But, yeah, Dirk Nowitzki, 29 points, 8 rebounds, also in the game. He had 2 of 3 three-pointers as well, and shot 10 of 15 from the floor. Dirk Nowitzki wasted us, and to be honest with you, when I look at the Dallas Mavericks backcourt, that is pretty intriguing. Jason Cherry and Jason Kidd, the Jasons, that is a nice combination. So the Mavericks definitely had a vision there. As Jason Cherry coming off the bench, to me, well, I understand it was for Devin Harris, and Devin Harris is a player who's going to be a phenomenal player for the New Jersey Nets. Again, congratulations to the Crossovers Rusty. Rusty, congratulations on landing that guy, as he's going to really help your team, in my opinion. But still, at the same time, Jason Cherry coming off the bench, it just didn't make any sense. It just didn't make any sense at all, as Terry's been an all-star in his career, and he's been their second-best player for forever, the Mavericks, other than maybe when Josh Howard goes on a tear. And, man, that is a stacked lineup. I mean, even Eric Dampier looks okay. 9 points and 6 rebounds in the game. Jason Cherry, though, definitely shooting guard type of player. And when you got a point guard like Jason Kidd, and both of them are about 6'4", so that's okay. It works. You get a large point guard and a small shooting guard, so it's kind of offset, you could say. Yeah, Jason Cherry had 20 points. He was 8 of 16, over 3-point range, but his plus-minus a plus 28, by far the top in the entire game here. Jason Cherry, a super valuable individual, for the Mavericks, a guy who can create runs and lead runs. But Randy Foye, a guy who I ripped on my video that I did on YouTube. If you check it out, or if you'd like to check it out, please do. Randy Foye with his worst game back with the Wolves as the starting shooting guard right now. He was 1 of 6 from the floor, looked disinterested the entire game. 2 turnovers, 1 assist, just almost a non-factor in this game. I mean, well, it really was a non-factor. Jason Kidd just made him look like a child on this night. Sebastian Telfair, solid numbers, a little bit overplayed. 38 minutes, 43 seconds, just, pretty much 39 minutes on the floor. I don't think that's really Telfair. I think Telfair should be playing 28, 30, in my opinion. He did get 7 assists, but 4 turnovers, so his little assist-to-turnover ratio daily is starting to drop off a bit, as he had a phenomenal run going, as he was like the top point guard in the league for about a 3-week span there in that statistic. Simply not the case of late. Corey Brewer back to his 20 minutes again as the starting small forward with only 6 points and 2 rebounds. He did get a steal and a block, so he's all right. In competition with Josh Howard getting the best of him, but overall. But the one thing that I see, though, is Josh Howard only shot 5 of 18, so Brewer coming through a little bit there. Ryan Gomes, another boring game, 12 points, 5 rebounds, nothing to get you excited. No three-pointers, so that's a little statistic that Ryan Gomes adds sometimes in the game. McCants was 17 off the bench, but pretty much just a classic butt kicking as the Mavericks better team, beat the crappy team, and whatever, Randy Foye, non-factor. That's going to happen. That's just going to happen, especially when the guy who is supposed to be your second-best player is not your second-best player. But let's move on to the next game, and it was a rare Timberwolves victory, and the most recent one, as they defeat the Utah Jazz on Tuesday night last week. Despite Carlos Boozer's amazing effort of 34 points and 8 rebounds, along with the awesome Deron Williams, 18 points, 9 assists, but 5 turnovers. That was probably one of the problems, along with Boozer's 6 turnovers as the Jazz. 24 turnovers in the game to the Wolves' 13. Huge stat, and the Wolves have 4 players eclipsed the 20-point mark in this game. And Randy Foye, he much better in this game. He was shot 50% from the floor, 8 of 16 from the floor, and 2 of 4 from three-point range. So 50% in both areas. Very solid game. Unfortunately, 2 assists and 2 turnovers, but 3 steals. Very good. So he played well against Brewer and Williams, the other Brewer. It was Ronnie Brewer. Al Jefferson, 22 points and 10 rebounds. So a similar game to the game against the Dallas Mavericks. Almost identical numbers. What I like, though, here with Al Jefferson, he attempted 10 free throws in this game, and he is getting to the line more of late, and that is good news for the Wolves as he continues to blossom as into an all-star player on this team. If he continues to get to the line double-digit times a game, he is going to be a very good player. Kirk Snyder, as I'm seeing, makes his debut off the bench, 24 minutes, as they do look at him as a defensive specialist, and by all accounts, he did very solid in the game. He had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, so very good, a steal and a block. So he did his job. He's going to be a role player. It looks like he hit a three-pointer. That's good. But ultimately, the other 22-point players, or 20-point players, were Ryan Gomes with 20 points and 11 rebounds. Awesome game for Ryan Gomes. Absolutely awesome. He outplays Andrei Kirilenko badly in this game. As the other player to get 20 points in the game was Rashad McCants. The sixth man, Rashad McCants, he had 22 with 3 steals and 5 rebounds. So that's very good. Rashad McCants kind of learning to slide into his role with the Timberwolves as the sixth man, and that's exactly what he is going to be with this team. In my opinion, I think that is the best role for him. as he's not the kind of guy you want playing 40 minutes a night and to count on to help stop Kobe Bryant, or, well, not stop, but contain Kobe Bryant, as he is just going to get lit up all night. He's going to put up too many shots, and he's not going to help this team as a starter, in my opinion. As now we move on to the Toronto Raptors, who, again, for the second time this season, as we only play Eastern Conference teams twice a year, dismantle us again. This time it was in Toronto, and it was 107-85 as the improving and talented Toronto Raptors whooped the living bleep out of us tonight, on this night anyway. And just, again, I'm just looking at a stat that I don't like at all. Corey Brewer, only 16 and a half minutes, no points at all. 0 of 2 from the floor, just disappointing to see there. And Al Jefferson only got 5 rebounds in the game. He only played 27 minutes. He got 23 points. I understand they sat him down because the game was totally out of hand. There's nothing we could do after that third quarter when the Raptors beat us 33-22, as they were just creaming us at that point. As there's no point in just leaving a guy out there to get hurt potentially or something. What drives me nuts, though, is Al Jefferson shot the ball 9 of 12 from the floor. Why does Rashad McCants have 17 shot attempts to Al Jefferson's 12? McCants 8 of 17 from the floor, 1 of 9 from three-point range. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That is the absolute reason why Rashad McCants to me is not a starter and never, ever should be a starter, because he is Anthony Peeler. He is a glorified Anthony Peeler. A guy who likes to jack up shots and make stupid plays. He's a more athletic, more talented version of Anthony Peeler, but still, the same mentality that can kill a team. It can absolutely kill the morale of a team when he plays that way. I mean, why is he shooting the three-point shot 9 times when clearly he was cold? And I just can't stand even thinking about it. Just looking at that stat makes me absolutely sick. Ryan Gomes only 5 points in the game. He only shot the ball 6 times, and again, that's got to be related to McCants somehow. But Al Jefferson, oh my God! You know, when he was shooting the lights out, 9 of 12 from the floor, and you got that selfish shooting guard named McCants playing that style of play. That is, I would like to see the Wolves look at the idea of trading Rashad McCants this summer. Unless somehow, some way they can get him to regulate his game a little bit. He's going to stay on the bench. He's going to be a six-man forever, because I don't think he's going to change, and he's going to be lucky to be a sixth man if he doesn't stop doing this. But other than this game just sucked major butt, and I was wrong about Theo Ratliff. He did play one more game. He played against the Toronto Raptors. I believe this was his last game, I believe. As I just couldn't keep track, because it's been a busy week for me. 3 points, 6 rebounds in his adios time. But really, the player of the game, the more important side of the things, Toronto Raptors in this game, is Chris Bosh, 28 points, 7 rebounds. Just not many rebounds to be had for either team in this game, for whatever reason. It looked like certain players shot well where others didn't. Chris Bosh, by far the best player in the game. The rest of the Raptors played okay. TJ Ford looks like he's going to be their sixth man right now, as he's the backup point guard because of Jose Calderon's good run. But in this game, TJ Ford outplayed Calderon. And they both pretty much split minutes, 24 and 23 minutes respective, 25 and 23 respectively. So they pretty much cut time in half there. And that's how this game went. Really just a sucky game, and I don't want to even look at it anymore. As that's just what kind of season it's been for the Wolves. Cleveland Cavaliers game. This is the game of the week, I will call it, the game of the week. As this is the game I actually got to sit down and watch the whole thing from start to finish, and it was entertaining. It was very entertaining. Unfortunately, the better team took control and won the game down the stretch, the Cleveland Cavaliers. But Al Jefferson played pretty well. Not spectacular. He was 10 of 22 from the floor, but he did get to shoot the ball more, so I was happy about that. Telfair, solid. Nothing amazing, but solid. He had 3 3-pointers, unfortunately only 1 2-pointer in the whole game. He was 4 of 11 from the floor, but Randy Foye, again, this was the night that I just was throwing my arms up, saying, this guy sucks right now. And I understand his timing is going to be off because when you're out for months and months and months and it's the kind of injury where you can't even really practice and such, it's gonna really eat away at your game and stuff. But Randy Foye is a talented enough guy to me that he is going to come back and he's going to play better than this. He's going to play better than this if he really is as talented as they say. 1 of 9 from the floor. Man. 4 points in 33 minutes. That's the other thing. 33 flipping minutes. He only gets 4 points and 4 rebounds is an okay stat for a shooting guard. That's fine. But some of his shots the shot selection was okay. It's just the fact that he continued to miss and miss and miss and miss and miss and miss and miss. But overall, the player of the game on the Wolves side was Corey Brewer. As finally, Corey Brewer getting starter minutes and playing like a starter on this night. As he had 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals. And here's the other part, though, that matters the most. You know who he was guarding, right? He was guarding LeBron James, arguably the most talented player on the planet. You can say what you want about LeBron James, that he's never going to be Jordan, and he can't hit big shots, and he's a little overrated just because, his face has been on the TV screen since he was 16 years old or younger. But, yeah, he's overrated a little bit, but he's clearly an ultra-talented individual who makes the game look easy. And Corey Brewer did a good job on him. And LeBron James didn't wear him out to a point that Corey Brewer was playing 19 minutes and scoring 2 points or no points, kind of like every other night. So, yeah, a very good game by Corey Brewer. I enjoyed watching him the whole night. And, to see his field goal percentage at 50, that's great compared to the rest of the team, who the overall Timberwolves field goal percentage of the game was 39. That totally sucks. And, I was finally right. Theo Ratliff was gone at this point. Finally, got it right. McCann's off the bench, 11 lousy points. Craig Smith, 8 and 8 off the bench in 17 and a half minutes. So, good job by Craig Smith, as most of the games I've seen out of Craig Smith this week, very similar, about 7.7 rebounds or so. Solid guy off the bench, but that's who he's going to be. Ryan Gomes with a slightly above average game with 13 points, 7 rebounds in the game. 6 of 16 from the floor, though. Struggled. He's only 1 of 6 from three-point range. Yeah, his jump shot struggled most of the night, but he gave us a little run there in the third quarter for a while before Cleveland started to get more on the ball. And LeBron James, as I was saying, just phenomenal, making the game look easy. 13 assists to go along with 30 points and 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and he was 11 of 22 from the floor, 50%. So, yeah, Corey Brewer didn't shut him down or anything. But LeBron James on this night looked like he could have got 50 if not for Corey Brewer being steady out there. So he just looked like he could have really gone off on this night. But other than that, that pretty much sums up this game. Is Zerbiak out? Wally Zerbiak, the newly acquired Wally, former Timberwolf, out because he was waiting for the birth of his third child. And Ben Wallace, 8 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocked shots. That's Brian Cush's favorite player, running with the Bulls, Brian Cush. And the fact that Ben Wallace is playing pretty solid in Cleveland has just got to absolutely dig at Bulls fans, and I don't blame him, as I hate what he did to the Chicago Bulls as well. $60 million flipping dollars to go out there and get 6 points and 7 rebounds for them. Not cool. And now we are going to finally go into the last game and look to wrap up this show, as we are going to clear an hour for the first time. And last night the Wolves played an entertaining game against the equally crappy Seattle Supersonics, the not-so-Supersonics, who gave away 2 talented players, Wally Zerbiak and Delonte West, to the Cleveland Cavaliers for aging expired contracts. Not a bad move, but still you'd think that the Sonics would suck even more than us. But they don't. Kevin Durant, 25 points, 4 rebounds. So good job on that front. The player of the game, though, for the Sonics was Chris Wilcox with 18 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Phenomenal. His plus-minus at plus 15, not even close to anybody in the entire game. So, yeah, Chris Wilcox, the main factor in this game. But, and he totally outplayed Ryan Gomes. As Ryan Gomes is a power forward, only 6 points, 3 rebounds, and, only 21 minutes. So, clearly Gomes was not up to the task last night. Foye, okay game, not too bad, but just still, I'm gonna be on him until he shows that he's better than he is. As I was the same way about Rashad McCants last year, and guess what? He's still somebody who has not proven himself to me at all. Frankly, I'd love to trade McCants if doable, as I said. Jefferson, though, last night, absolutely awesome. 30 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. Yeah. Al Jefferson's passing game has improved. And in that Cleveland game when I watched, he made some nifty passes in that game. Not all of them went for assists, but his overall game becoming more and more and more excellent. As I was saying, how with Garnett gone, we're going to lose that big, that talented passing power forward. Not necessarily. As Al Jefferson, to me, is starting to add that to his game. And don't forget, you have Corey Brewer, who is also a good passer at the small forward position. So, not all is lost, obviously. As sometimes you combine certain players to replace missing aspects from departed players. Telfair, in 29 minutes, only shot the ball twice and made 1 basket, but he did get 9 assists. So, that's good. Telfair playing like a true point guard in that sense. Good job by Telfair. There were a lot of assists in this game. As Foye had 5, Telfair had 9, Jefferson had 5, Brewer had 2, and Craig Smith had 5 assists in this game. That is pretty cool. Kirk Snyder, there's one of the odd stats of the night. 32 and a half minutes. Kirk Snyder played a lot. He had 5 steals and 2 blocks. So maybe Kirk Snyder's going to be better than I thought, as I pretty much made fun of him on the YouTube video. But yeah, 4 points, 2 of 6 from the floor, 2 baskets from the floor, that is, and 2 assists, 3 rebounds. So the other stats not so great, but the defensive numbers, dang man, that's pretty good. Now McCants, I've been ripping him, of course, but he had a pretty good game on this particular night. In 24 minutes, he managed to get 18 points, and he was 7 of 14 from the floor to go along with 3 of 6 from three-point range. He shot a straight 50%, and also 50% at the free throw line, 1 of 2. But he was one of only 3 players who were in the plus category, in the plus-minus statistic on this game. He was a plus 5. But Jefferson was a plus 3. He was the best player. But the top plus-minus guy in this game was Craig Smith. He played almost 33 minutes. He got 15 points, 3 steals, 5 assists, as I said, 4 rebounds. So Craig Smith, 6 of 9 from the floor. The Wolves shot almost 50% as a team, but the Seattle Supersonics shot 55%. So just an absolute awesome, entertaining game as the Supersonics defeat the Wolves in overtime, 111 to 108. A big bummer, but such is life, unfortunately, as it's just the way it's going to go with this team. They're not going to win many games. They're not going to win hardly any. And ultimately, though, we are going to call it a night, as this has been a heck of a show, and I hope you've enjoyed it out there. I hope I've brought a lot of information to all of you, and I hope I haven't kept you too long. I hope that you please sign up on the message boards. Please get a screen name. Let's keep this run going, as we have been on fire with signing up new members of late. or having new members sign up anyway. And yes, indeed, go to my YouTube site, youtube.com/Paladin Joe, youtube.com/Paladin Joe. Please subscribe. It is completely free. Enjoy the sports takes. Enjoy the video game reviews. And yes, there will be a new video game review in the near future, because I'm going to finally get going on that, as I've been looking to get new software for this computer, but you know what? I don't have the money right now. I just don't. And sooner or later, I may put up a donation button on, if I can get a website up at some point, I may put a donation button on and see if I can get some help from you out there. As this show gets more and more popular, I'm going to want to upgrade my software to bring you a better product, better video game reviews, better microphone, better anything, better computer programming, so I can make a good website at some point. And I would really appreciate that you do sign up on YouTube and on TSS. But anyhow, I've said that too many times, and I just want to appreciate all of you for listening and downloading. Stay cool, enjoy the rest of the week, and go TSS.